Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I've been here long enough in Vegas now to not get too concerned about loud background noises that seem to surround me here at the Adobe Summit show floor in Vegas. Yes, it's noisy, but it's Vegas, right? I don't want to dilute your experience, so maybe it adds a little ambience and gives you the feeling that you're here with me. But enough of my ramblings. Today I've tracked down Donna Tuths, SVP and Global Head of Cognizant Interactive at the Adobe Summit. And Cognizant Interactive offers a boutique-style agency experience on a global scale with solutions grounded in human insights. And of course, it's also part of Cognizant, one of the world's leading professional services company and an award-winning Adobe partner. Donna leads a team powering the content lifecycle from concept to commerce, bringing experience to life for her clients across multiple industries. And over the last decade, Donna has disrupted the agency landscape by combining the capabilities of the traditional agency with those of business digital and technology consultancies. And she's also expanded Cognizant Interactive offerings through a number of successful acquisitions. And it's also been recognised by AdAge as the #1 digital agency network in the US and #3 in the world last year. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Vegas so we can speak with Donna, SVP and Global Head Cognizant Interactive here at the Adobe Summit. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So thanks so much for inviting me, Neil, to talk today. I'm Donna Tuths, and I am the global head of Cognizant Interactive. I've been there about 2 years now. And and I have a kind of a long history in combined on the management consulting side, the technology side, and in traditional and digital agency.
Cognizant Interactive is part of Cognizant, one of the world's leading professional services company and award-winning Adobe partner. So can you just help set the scene, just for our international listeners that might be just hearing about you for the first time, just help them understand the kind of problems that you solve for your customers?
Sure. So I like to ground this conversation a lot around the shift from marketing to experience, okay? And I really liken that to sort of marketing is really about what a company tells you about itself and its products and services, right? Experience is really who a company is and how they behave towards their customers, their stakeholders, and increasingly even towards their employees. Mm-hmm. So what we're really focused on is helping our clients with that shift to experience. In order to, just to kind of put that in context, okay, by next year, Gartner says 89% of companies are going to compete primarily on experience, and those that excel at it are going to be 5 times more valuable.
Wow.
So it's really pretty important for companies today. And what it really means is, if you think about, what it means towards now identity and how you're behaving as a company, it's really rethinking every touch point that you have with your customers, with your employees. So it's very difficult to do.
So here at the Summit, you guys are not only the sponsor, but your booth, which I believe is booth number 543, has been incredibly busy, where you've been inviting attendees to tell their story with digital and interactive tools to solve real problems and create opportunities and transform society. So for people listening that cannot actually attend that booth, can you just tell them what they've been missing?
Yes, so, we're having a lot of fun at this event. In planning for the event, we really thought that what we wanted to do is really engage the audience in sort of a new way. Yeah. The last couple of years, we've been working with Adobe not only across the Experience Cloud, but in helping to connect the Experience Cloud to the Creative Cloud. So we decided that we would really take on the challenge that our clients have to run a live event, a live experience. And we've actually invited attendees to come to our booth and to essentially create their own, obviously we're helping them quite extensively, but their own movie trailer that they star in called, it's #MeTheMovie. And so actually just yesterday alone, we made over 70 films So we've invited attendees to come into our booth. They meet with our producer. They sit down and they talk about the genre that they like a lot. They answer some questions about themselves, and that information is actually fed right over to a script writer who's elsewhere in the booth. She prepares a script, and then the attendee goes. They get makeup and costume, and then they're actually, you really should see this. They then go in front of the green screen. One of our directors is there, directs them. And then all of that is actually live being fed. We have 6 editors that are editing on the Adobe Creative Suite behind. And within just a couple of hours, we produce their film. And we encourage them to post that online and really share it with everybody. So it's a couple of things, right? We wanted to find a way to really engage directly, and because that's what our customers have to do, right? They have to create experiences that become some meaningful way to interact, right? So we thought it was an interesting way for attendees to get to know us. We thought, we wanted to take on the challenge that our clients have ourselves. We wanted to put a spotlight on social media, which is really challenging for many of our clients to do. Partially because it's so video intensive, and there's not as much competency around, especially at scale, in creating this kind of video content. So we wanted to put a focus on that as well. And I guess the other part of Me the Movie is it really is sort of challenging the attendee to participate in a content creation which is really about themselves and sharing their more authentic self with everybody they want to share.
Just listening to you describe that, I'm thinking,
you want to go too. You should. You actually, you should. We encouraged journalists and others to actually come and experience the booth. It's pretty amazing. The feedback's been tremendous, and we've really enjoyed it. We brought it to life actually with one of our latest acquisitions. So we bought a company called Mustache. They're based in New York City. They are an original content company. They actually create TV programming. They have a show The Most Expensivest, which is on Viceland right now. But then they also create branded content for clients. And so it's really fun having our whole family in the booth together. And we're really sharing, ourselves with the audience.
Have you sampled it yourself? Have you given it?
Actually, I have not done that, but most yet. But I've not left. I've not left Las Vegas yet. So I may have a moment to do it. But we're actually thinking it's actually becoming, so much fun, and people are enjoying it. But we're actually thinking now that we may serialize it and take it on the road, meaning take it to other places, because we actually are almost. But of course, we'd get you VIP in there. But it is really sold out now in terms of booking. But in all seriousness, we can get you in there. But it's hit us that the experience is becoming so interesting for people that we're thinking that it'd be interesting to take it out to some other cities on a smaller version and allow people to come and sort of have this very much real-time experience.
Incredibly
cool. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about why you think great content is essential to delivering those world-class experiences that we're talking about, and also how original, authentic and human-inspired content is important for companies too?
Right. So I think that there's a couple of things, right? And so, why is it important for companies, right?
Yeah.
Part of it is because, and this is really a shift away from what was really kind of traditional branded communications. Part of this shift to experience is companies really now have to literally kind of express to us who they are, right? Yeah. And by the way, it's one of the reasons why we're seeing a shift amongst a lot of the large advertisers toward in-house agencies. And I'm not sure whether you've spoken to people on your program again about that. But when this voice is that important, right, it's not just, promoting your product, but it's really expressing kind of who you are to the market and your employees. Owning that voice and really being the curator of it is very, very important. And, you asked me sort of, why we get this question a lot about, authentic content and what does it mean? And I think that I'm just going to speak to what is really another one of the changes that's occurred with experience is the fact that consumers now have unfortunately, if you're a company, many opportunities to get to know who you are, right? They may see an ad, they're going to go into your store, they may connect with you online, they may hit their, get onto their phone and connect with you there. We don't do that all in a very consistent way, okay? That is when we fall short of sort of the authenticity measure. So it's not just about the quality of the content and that needing to be, and I guess authentic in a way is a byproduct, right? You can't say one thing. This is the issue now. We live around a lot of transparency. We can't just, as a company, tell people that we're one thing and then behave as something else. So that's, I think, where the measure's really gone up. And it's interesting when we talk about the bar on these things. The challenge that we see right now is that the bar for how companies are interacting with their consumers has risen, right? So there's a lot of research now that's indicating that consumers no longer simply compare a company, like if you're financial services, to another bank. That was one banking experience versus another. No. They're actually comparing you to the best experiences they have, okay? Yeah. So they're comparing you to Uber, Airbnb, these brands that actually are experience natives, okay? And that goes beyond being a digital native, okay? They were really born in the experience era, okay? So they're built on very different infrastructures than than traditional, traditional companies. And the bar is very high, just in terms of responsiveness, frictionless, seamless, easy, right? So that's it's challenging to deliver on that. And that's really what our clients, so again, you're asking, what is the problem that we're helping our clients to solve? It's really that. And it's not just about getting the voice right? There's a lot of technology involved in making that happen, right? So you just think about all of the places that I mentioned, and even the quality of that interaction, whether it's speed, its ability to actually have the particular channel technology, voice technology. So a lot of times we're innovating. We have one online, they're a complete online bank, where we actually enable them to be able to offer their customers all banking, all functions using voice technology, right? So, and why is that? That's to enhance the experience, right? So it's really putting these elements of tech and design together.
We should also mention that mastering video content is essential in social world now. We have talked a little bit about this, but how are brands coping with these kind of content demands when they might not necessarily have those required skills in-house? Are they getting the message that they must change sooner rather than later and get those skills on board?
So I think this is something that's really emerging right now, right? So it's almost like it's a wave that came upon us without us having seen what was behind, because by this year already 80% of the traffic on the internet is video, okay? And all metrics are actually showing us that video content performs at much higher rates than other forms of content. And then consumers are showing a high preference for interacting with video content. So I think that your question is a really good one, because I think that most companies are not really equipped to be able to make this shift into video. And part of it has to do with, what the ecosystem of service providers today, right? So if I'm an advertiser and I'm a company, my main partner would have been a traditional agency, and they and as I said, that was my own background. Okay, we were focused on a very different type of narrative and different types of formats of content. Yeah. And as these new forms of content, especially social content, which is now all video content, it's very short. I know you know what I mean, because we all interact with it all day long. The volume that you need is pretty incredible. So how are they coping with it? I mean, we have plenty of estimates that are showing that marketers that the amount of content that they need, of which a large proportion is video, is increasing 10x year over year. And so when we talk to clients about this challenge of really getting video at scale, and I think this is really universal, just thinking about as a global issue. Just until recently, okay, they would have to go to many small video providers in order to get that production work done. And that's just not sustainable. It was sustainable when you only needed a certain amount of video content, but it's not sustainable anymore. So companies like mine have really been focused on creating capabilities for our clients that really allow them to produce video content at scale that can be deployed in video channels, 24/7, 365. That's a creative challenge. It's a technology challenge. It's a process challenge. It's a planning challenge. And so, those are all the things that come together to getting it right.
So what should a business consider when making a digital interactive investment and selecting the right partner? What are the kind of questions that you would be asking?
I love this question, Neil. So, it hedges on to really the topic of modern marketing, okay? Yeah. And I know people are kind of throwing that term around, but let's talk about really what that is and why it's important, because it's some of the things we've been talking about, right? It's today, in order to be successful in the experience game, you need to have a partner that really understands what experience is. And this is a complex set of things. They are not purely promotional. They need to be able to take in a wide range of touch points that you have with your customers. And then I'm going to give you the other side, and your employees, because if you're saying one thing externally and you're saying something else internally, we're going to have that authenticity problem again. So I think, and again, it's something that we focus is bringing that internal mastery of the internal voice, the internal systems as well. And then it's really a partner that can combine that with technology. So why is that important? And I haven't actually talked much about design. We could have talked about how human design and a lot of this is becoming important. But I think a partner that has a very developed experienced design capabilities is critical. For us, we believe that that the human part of that, we, by the way, employ more social scientists than any other commercial employer in North America. And why? It's because we believe it takes humans to understand humans. So this is not just about don't fall into the all of the AI stories alone and machine learning, which, by the way, we are a powerhouse in those things. Yeah. But what we're finding is that machines alone are not enough to predict human behavior or help us with that voice and that authenticity and those other questions that you were asking, right? So I think you've got to have tremendous mastery over the design process in order to do experience. We've got complex points, we said. We've got inside and out. And then we've got something that we talk a lot about, and it's something we call applied innovation. Now, I'm going to explain simply what that means. It's got to be being very good at applying the latest advancements in technology to those experiences. And so that essentially you want experiences, if you're a client, that are as good when delivered as they were when they were designed. Yeah. So if you ask me, when I look at modern marketing today and I look at the partner that you want, if you are a large company, you really have to look for a partner that's going to be able to bring a lot of that end to end for you. Because I'll tell you, the byproduct we don't want to see, and again, I've been on this journey with many marketers, is we have to still focus on simplicity. So the other part is, if we try to do this with a million different, vendors, piece parts, that just is not sustainable for anybody who has to create this kind of velocity to market. Yeah. So if you, to me, I think, we're looking at a unique set of capabilities. I think we're looking at scale today. I think the technical focus and the technology cannot be underestimated, because, actually creating these things, deploying them, optimizing them, potentially offering services, which we do today. We offer services to help our clients have living experiences. And I know that sounds funny, but meaning, right, that these experiences have to continue to evolve. They have to continue to take in data. They can't be static, right? And delivering that for clients is something that has to be done too.
So over the past decade, you've disrupted the agency landscape by combining the capabilities of that traditional agency with those of business, digital and technology consultancy. But can you tell me a little bit more about that journey and how you got here today?
Sure. It's interesting. I mean, I started out, as I said, in management consulting. And actually, my area was marketing and it was strategy. And I began during the first wave of data-driven marketing. Mm-hmm. Okay. And having kind of played in that space, in the technology and consulting space, I then went agency side. And to be honest, and I went into direct marketing to Wonderman. And I really thought at that time that we were going to sort of see this advent of data really being driven into marketing, and a lot of the innovation we've seen, I thought it was going to take place there. I left from there. I went to an interactive agency. I knew immediately I wanted to get to know digital. I wanted to be a native in that. And then I went on to Ogilvy to spend time in big brand houses. But what I began to see was that the innovation that I was sort of looking for and expecting was not happening there. And that's why I switched back out into the consulting. I went over to Accenture Interactive. I was part of the team that really drove that from 2010 to 2017. When I left, I created their global content practice. It was the largest practice that they had. What I've seen, so just kind of getting right back to where it is, what we've really seen is a tremendous disruption in this last, 5 years. Yeah. And I kind of go back to, I think that, there were missed signals. I don't think that the traditional, marketing shifted from marketing to experiences. The CMO, by the way, owns experience for the company. So if you're going to be now selling services to the CMO, you need to really be expanding these considerably. And, we didn't see that type of change and innovation. And again, it's hard for me to say because I spent a part of my career there committed to those things. But it's just not where they were investing. They decoupled media. I think that was probably one of the biggest mistakes that was made, separating media from the traditional, from the creative side of the business. So essentially turning the headlights off in terms of, understanding customer behavior and media and markets and consumption patterns. So, it's like the market went right and traditional partners went left. And so I think enter new entrants, right? And I just want to say about Cognizant Interactive, we really also see that we believe it's even moved on to something new. Okay. Yeah. So, it was initially traditional agencies versus consultancies. And I can certainly say I played my part in that first part of the evolution. But we see, and why some of us have come to Cognizant Interactive, we really see ourselves as a third player. We see this in the new generation. We are digital native. We are roughly the age of Google. We were born after the internet. We're 25 years young. Yeah. And we bring a very different view in terms of human insights and our focus in bringing that, combining that with AI, applied innovation being critical to us. We really see a new set of capabilities that are combining to be the partner for modern marketers. And we think it remains to be seen. I'd say the difference between ourselves and some of the traditional consultancies is that, they really were born of accountancy DNA. That's where they came from, right? They came out of the big six originally. Yeah. So these were very process-based companies, and they're not digital natives. So we think it's going to be an exciting period that we're going to be entering here to see how this all takes shape.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask next, what do you think the future holds for the digital interactive space? And what should marketing and digital executives consider when planning for the next 5 years?
So, I guess I have just, a couple of key messages there, right? Yeah. I think that, a lot of what I've been talking about is the complexity of experience. I think you really have to rethink your partners and if they're really suited to what the challenges that you're going to be facing, especially around experience and expanding between internal, external audiences. And I think that mastering social is something that's an absolute bar, and I can tell you that a lot of our important marketing clients struggle with that. Yeah. And I think that it's incumbent to find partners that can help you with that, because that's not what the social channels. They have not been set up to help marketers, utilize those channels. Yeah. So I think that that finding the right set of partners, but quite honestly, few enough that you do not end up with a very complex set of partners. And so it's got to be easy to manage so that, you can really get to market with speed.
So for people that have been unable to attend, you guys had a great session here about how Mattel is leveraging your technology. Would you mind just sharing that story so listeners can understand the bigger picture and what that can look like and the value brands can get from it?
So let me talk to you about what I found interesting about the session that I was running. And I loved it, actually. The CTO for Mattel, Sven Gerjits, came in, and we actually had him talking with our Chief Creative Officer in North America, Louis Marino. And that conversation was really about a couple of things. We talked about, first of all, how important experience was for Mattel as a brand. And, we don't necessarily, it's interesting, right? We might think of them as a product company, but we had a really interesting conversation about the fact that they're really an experience company. We talked about American Girl as a brand, that the store experience, that coming in, understand personalizing your doll around the doll doctor. All of this really creates an entire experience with multi-touches that they're trying to do. And actually the same was true with Hot Wheels. So then what we discuss is sort of what is the CIO's role in that type of business transformation. And that really led us to talking about really the interplay between design and technology. And what we really were kind of concluding, or I took away from the conversation, was that there's a much more agile need today in terms of building teams with a lot of point expertise in order to, work on these kinds of experience projects that they're doing at Mattel today. And so having a lot of different type of expertise, being able to create bespoke teams and drive those are really important. And, that had a lot to say for the kinds of talent that he's attracting today.
We could talk about it for hours, I think. We could explore this subject for hours. But I understand how busy you are. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much.
I only spent a few minutes with Donna, who was incredibly busy and, like me, booked up back to back with interviews. But I could have spoken to her for hours exploring this digital landscape and how it's evolving. And her passion for what she does really did shine through in our conversation. I'm just gutted I didn't have time to check out their booth and get myself involved with that movie trailer. You should have seen my eyes light up when she was telling me about that. Seriously though, a big thank you to Donna for taking the time out to come on to this podcast. But as for everyone else listening, please email me techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. And I hope you're enjoying these episodes and finding value in me taking the podcast on the road. But again, let me know. This is your show, so any feedback you send my way, I will do my best to tweak the show accordingly. But that's it for today, I'm afraid, so I'll be back tomorrow with another great guest. But all that's left for me to say is thanks for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.